Okay, thank
Okay,
you. And I'll pause it.
okay. Your host, thank you so much.
There you go.
Before we start the meeting, I have to read the draft script for remotely conducted open meetings. As a preliminary matter, this is Richard McGrath, Chairman of the Lunenburg Historical Commission. I will do a roll call to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kevin Busan,
Yes, here.
Bill Laxo,
Present.
good morning. Good evening. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. And this meeting of the Lunenburg Historical Commission is being conducted remotely. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 virus, is currently following the guidelines from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Mass Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. And all town facilities are only open by appointment, only at this time. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 3820, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town website on the COVID-19 Information Center page, accessed through the town manager's webpage, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberation of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting of the Lunenburg Historical Commission is convening by Zoom as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Richard McGrath, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called further. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Only the chair has a list of all public commentators. I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. I don't think that applies tonight. There doesn't seem to be anybody from the public present. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Reading of minutes, first item on the agenda. Bill?
Mr. Chairman, Historical Commission meeting, December 17th, 2020, held via Zoom. Called to order at 7 o'clock p.m. by Chairman Richard McGrath with a quorum present. Minutes, unfortunately, minutes were not available to review at that time. Reference the forthcoming joint meeting with the Select Board on a workshop about the primary school. Chairman McGrath asked all to bring opinions to that meeting. Budget. The budget balance is indicated to be $2,960. Comment here as a question mark whether it's 260, 960 or 950, not too sure. Reference to town survey, inventory of older homes and historic sites. Mr. Laxo in touch with Jennifer B. Doherty, a consultant. Action to start after the new year with a telephone conversation. Commission goals for 2021. One is to renew the survey of historic homes. No others were noted. Reference demolition delay amendments. Mr. Laxo will detail those at the next meeting of the commission. The Arnold Ditch Cemetery, William Tyler, chair of the cemetery commissioners, participated. Also mentioned was Goodrich Cemetery, where the commission is awaiting word on tree removal by Mark Flagg. Next item, historically speaking, articles in the ledger. 3 articles have been submitted to date and more are on the way. Next meeting to be held Thursday, January 21, 2021. A notation, Mr. Laxo experienced great difficulty in participating due to unstable internet connection and will seek correction through Verizon. On motion made and seconded, the meeting was voted adjourned.
Minutes sound good to me. Any corrections, Kevin, that you'd like to see made?
I'm fine with them as well.
Okay, make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Kevin?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Richard votes to accept the minutes as presented. Unanimous vote. Next item on the agenda, new business. Minimum maintenance bylaw. Bill, do you want to lead the discussion on this?
I'm pleased to do so. Commission members were given a document beginning with 3 photographs. I'll explain why after I describe these. One is photograph shows a half-buried home at 213 Electric Avenue. It's half buried in stone scrap. Another photograph shows the present condition of 400 Howard Street, which is currently under a demolition delay. The third photograph illustrates a portion of the primary school, and we recognize that falls under the jurisdiction of the architectural preservation but it's included only to demonstrate what happens for properties which have been allowed to deteriorate to an impossibility of restoration or reuse. The definition of their respective condition is demolition by neglect. Such conditions, if allowed to continue, will add to what we might call an inventory of, excuse me, of eyesore properties in Lunenburg. There is a simple answer, however, if the town adopts a minimum maintenance bylaw. Through the Massachusetts Historical Commission, I have information on from the local commission resource library concerning minimum maintenance bylaw or ordinance. And I'd like to propose that the town adopt such a minimum maintenance of buildings and structures bylaw. And if I may, I will take a few moments to read it in detail. And we'll also recommend that this information be attached to the minutes as part of the record of this meeting. Paragraph A, owners of all buildings and structures in Lunenburg shall provide sufficient minimum maintenance as defined herein in subsection B below to the minimum extent necessary to keep such buildings from falling into a state of poor repair as may be identified hereinafter by the Lunenburg Historical Commission rules and regulations, as all buildings and structures contribute to the visual character of the town. This provision shall apply only to the exterior architectural features of all buildings and structures, and also to the interior portions of buildings and structures which, if not adequately maintained, would cause the exterior architectural features to deteriorate or become damaged. B, in carrying out the responsibilities set for the above, owners shall therefore be responsible for taking at least the minimum steps necessary to prevent the deterioration of the following items, which would, if allowed to deteriorate, cause a detrimental effect upon the character of the town as to such contributing buildings and structures as follows. 1, facades which may fall and injure members of the public or property. 2, deteriorated or inadequate foundation, deteriorated flooring or floor supports, deteriorated walls or other vertical structure supports. 3, members of ceilings, roofs, ceiling and roof supports, or other horizontal members which sag, split, or buckle due to deterioration. 4, deteriorated or ineffective waterproofing of exterior walls, roof, foundations, or floors, including broken windows or doors. 5, improper or insufficient waterproofing of exterior wall covering, including lack of paint or weathering due to lack of paint or other protective covering. 6, any fault or defect in the property caused by alteration or neglect of maintenance which renders it not properly watertight or structurally unsafe. 7, fireplaces or chimneys which list, bulge, or settle due to deterioration. In cases where deterioration has already progressed to an advanced stage, an application for demolition of a building shall be executed. Paragraph C, in all cases for such buildings and structures, non-structural exterior architectural features shall be repaired. In situations where it is impractical to repair the feature or prohibitively expensive to replace it, it shall be stored safely until such time as it is possible to recreate the feature from the original pieces at reasonable expense. D, the Lunenburg Historical Commission, upon application and after hearing, may grant a waiver from the requirements of this section upon a showing of impossibility or financial hardship or the occurrence of events beyond the owner's control or such other exigent circumstances as the commission may determine. Any person violating this section shall be subject to a fine or penalty in the amount of $300, with each day to be considered a separate violation. The enforcing authority for purposes of this bylaw shall be the Lunenburg Building Commissioner or his or her designee. That is the recommendation. Mr. Chairman, I move the commission approve the adoption of this bylaw and proceed with referring it to higher authority for inclusion as an article in a town meeting.
Okay, I'm opening this item up for discussion. Kevin, did you have any comments, questions?
I thought it was good. I think this would be a good idea to have a minimum maintenance bylaw. I think it would, if we had that for, say, the primary school, we would probably be in a different situation. So I would be for it. So
Bill, what was the model for this?
I'm sorry?
What's the model for this bylaw that you're, as you're reading it?
Well, it's been adopted by a number of communities in the state. And a lot of it is taken from bylaws already in place in other communities.
Do you know what are some of the other communities that have this?
I would have to go back in my records to determine that.
I think it would be good to have a list of other communities. Hello, Jennifer, welcome.
Hello.
Okay.
A list
I will provide a list of other communities utilizing this. I know one in particular is the town of Edgartown.
Also, if we could talk to the enforcing officials in some of these communities and see how that is working out for them. Having details of how it's working and any problems that they're encountering with it, the benefits they're experiencing from it. So if there is an article on the warrant, we can speak to those questions.
We will do that.
And does this bylaw encompass all houses in the community or just historic houses?
All houses, all houses.
All houses
In
and
fact, I thought
buildings.
yes, all houses and all buildings in town.
The Historical Commission oversees this bylaw with the assistance of the building inspector. Could you explain how that works?
Well, I think we need to, that was one of my thoughts, that we need to consult with the building inspector. And that should have been part of my recommendations, that we first review it with the building inspector, get his opinions.
Yeah. Jennifer, do you have any comments or questions?
I actually fully support everything that Bill has put into this. I think it's an excellent idea. I think that it could possibly prevent a lot of problems in the future. I agree, though, that, I mean, we should definitely look to see how it's working with other towns, how it's enforced, and definitely meet with the building inspector. But I think that it might make our jobs easier in the long run, as far as if we can nip it in the bud, you know, to say, before it's really crumbling down, get everyone on the same page, you know?
Yes, I think it brings, so if it was the primary school, that would have been brought up immediately when it was vacated, rather than it being kicked down the road and discussed and it's like a tennis game, the ball goes back and forth.
And meanwhile, it's crumbling.
Right. Yeah, sounds good. I like the idea of the review of it where, because as in the case of the house at the corner of White Street in Lancaster, there's people that are elderly or suffering illness or economic hardships, or when the economy goes down, but they still have a house, but you don't have the money to maintain it, or that would be good. And something that could go along with the functioning of the bylaw would be if we could come up with lists of grant programs and whatever financial aid is available to people in such situations, and more particularly with
Exactly.
building
Oh, we lost sound.
If we can connect with some other communities and see how it's working there. And then talk with the building inspector about it. I think that would be good. Any other comments? So Bill, you'll be able to connect, look into a list of other communities and possibly connecting with some of the officials in those communities that are to see how this is functioning for them.
Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, that would be good to know how this works in action and the pros and cons of it. And check with the building inspector.
You want me to do that too?
Yeah, if you could, if you had time, that would be good.
Okay.
Okay, old business.
He's frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen.
I keep freezing here.
Frozen. Yeah. Richard, we can't hear or see.
Oh, he's moving now.
Yeah.
On the joint meeting on primary school discussion, we have any comments or thoughts about what the discussion was about there?
I really don't have one. Bill Laxo here. I don't have any response.
Jennifer, did you have any?
No, the whole topic actually just disgusts me, quite honestly. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it really is. I don't know. It just seems that, like you said, it's been dragged out, and so much time has been spent talking about it, and the time to do anything about it has long since passed. So I want to see something there that will be, good for the community. I just don't know if anybody knows what that is. So it's a lot of lip service.
Kevin, did you
So-
have any comments?
I mean, I basically agree with that. I don't know personally what's the I don't know what's the best thing to do. I don't know much about it. I've seen it falling apart over the years. I just joined the commission recently, so this is I haven't been able to, over those years I haven't been able to do much for it at all. So I was leaving it. I don't know really.
Did you go to school there?
I did long time ago, maybe 1 or 2 years in preschool. I remember it, and
Yeah.
it was falling apart then.
Hmm.
Going to school there,
Hmm.
remember it. It smelled old.
Jennifer, did you go to school there?
Yes, I did. I went to 3rd grade there, and
What
I'm
was it
proud
like
of that
for you?
fact.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was the neatest school ever, quite honestly. I didn't care that it was old. I loved the old stage. I loved the fact that we had to put the tables up against the walls for lunch, after lunch. But no, I loved it. I really did. It was one of my greatest elementary school years. And I hate seeing what it's become.
Yeah.
It's a neat old building. It really is. And I like neat old buildings.
Bill, did you go to
Don't let them
school
fall
there?
down.
Did you grow up here?
No. I went to the original primary school.
When they tore down?
Yes,
Really? Wow.
I went there first and second grade and about 1 month of the third grade before we moved to Fitchburg.
What was that school like for you?
It was frightening.
Yeah, why?
Well, I was, well, I don't want to get into personal history, but I was a very shy, bashful, loner, a 6-year-old going to school, and it was just very difficult.
Yeah.
The big city of Lunenburg.
What school?
Right, because at the time we lived on Laurel Bank, the Brown property. So I had to walk a good half mile, no, nearly a mile to catch the school bus at the corner of Pleasant Street and Massachusetts Avenue.
What's the name of that school?
Well, it was the old
Primary school.
It was just the school. That's all it was. The yellow wood frame building where the Historical Society is now.
So it was torn down? Oh,
Oh, yes.
so it was where the old Historical Society was in Fitchburg.
No, this is Lunenburg.
Oh,
Oh, Lunenburg.
Lunenburg.
I thought
There
you
was
said
another
you-
school there.
Ah. Oh, yeah. When you moved to Fitchburg, what school did you go to?
Oh, I went to the Rollstone Street School. Yeah. It no longer exists either.
Yeah, that was a beautiful building. I watched that go down over 25, 30 years vacated.
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
Yeah, those are beautiful
So-
buildings. They were designed for quality. They were designed for children. The architects understood education. They had high ceilings, the beautiful big windows that reached to the sky. The rooms were filled with light. Oak floors, the big long chalkboards, blackboards, real slate. Yeah, they're beautiful. Seeing to see them go. The Architectural Preservation District Commission had a meeting last night, and the commissioners are still in favor of selling that building and trying to preserve it and have it developed for some type of use, either town hall, elderly housing, low-income housing. I had worked on an old Catholic school of the same vintage in Marlborough that was turned over to a developer and restored for elderly and low-income housing. There was a government programs involved with, and state, I think, is involved with that, where it's developed into housing, so many units elderly, so many low income. The owner of the building is allowed to collect the rents, is allowed to make so much in a year, and so much percentage of that income has to go back into the maintenance and restoration of the building. So it's a really nice program. I don't know if that's still in existence or not, but I would think there's some type of programs like that around. Although I think something like that should be, there should be more awareness distributed to commissions about what is available like that, and some of those things are complicated. So it should be simplified so that we can understand, and then we know what's available. But we're looking into finding out about what programs are available for that, as well as places to advertise for the parties that would be interested in developing such a building. Whether modern building codes allow for that to be economically feasible, I'm not sure, but I've been in touch with other district commissions and historical commissions that have saved their local schools and have had them go to different uses, including apartments and municipal use in the past 10 years. So these things are happening out there. So the APDC is working on that.
Richard,
Yes.
you know, one of our functions here in this commission is the preservation of significant buildings and structures. And if the APDC is able to come up with a solution such as you've been describing, I would be wholly in favor of it, despite my comments currently about, you know, seeing it demolished. So we're all entitled to change our minds.
Yes, yeah. Well, that building is structurally sound in spite of what it looks like in a number of comments. The walls are intact. There's water that's been entering from the roof into the walls and down the face of the walls, which is causing deterioration. But again, that's a high quality building, and it is structurally sound and highly restorable. And so we'll see what happens, what comes up with that, but we're working on it.
Oh, could I add something?
Yes.
Or have you ever seen the old high school in Maynard, Mass? I don't know if you're familiar where that is.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I've
Well, I
seen
know it.
outside of it.
Yeah, they actually took that old high school. I think they did some program in part with the town, and they converted the whole place into this art museum, and they have artist studios in there. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of options, and I mean, I don't know if Lunenburg's the place for something like that, but I mean, that would even more than affordable housing, I think it would add to just the cultural appeal of Lunenburg if you get something like that in there.
Yeah,
So-
definitely.
Mhm.
The windows and the north facing windows in rooms are ideal for artist studios.
Definitely, yeah.
I sculpt in stone, and in Southborough we had a show that they have a building. I think it's called the Southborough Arts Center. It was an old brick schoolhouse, similar to ours, maybe a little bit smaller, 2 stories. But they open that up. They have different artists and art associations have shows there, and it's used regularly for things like that. It was quite a nice venue. It's just have to think about the uses of it. There's a lot of ideas, but just to tear it down, I don't think it's the best one. Any other discussion?
I'll continue thinking about it, and I'll brainstorm. Yeah, I'll see what.
Yeah, come up with some ideas. And next item, demo delay bylaw. We've been talking about updating the language in that to tighten it up. There's some vagaries in it or things that could be said better. Bill, did you want to lead the discussion on this?
I'm ready. With the demolition delay period extended from 6 months to 18 months by amendment at town meeting of November 13th, 2018, a structure under delay is exposed to the possibility of damage and deterioration by natural elements, vandalism, fire, and other factors. Therefore, it is incumbent upon the owner to protect the structure in its present condition until the expiration of the delay period. As currently written, it is possible that the reporting requirements of the owner need not be exercised on any type of schedule, and conceivably might not be made until at or nearly at the end of the 18-month date of the delay. In other words, the owner could coast through 18 months of no action to preserve, sell, move, rehabilitate, or restore the structure. I go to paragraph D here. This is all under the demolition plan review, which is 134-4 of the bylaw. Now, as amended, paragraph D, the current reading is, if the building or structure is determined to be a significant building under this bylaw, the building commissioner shall impose a demolition delay of 540 days from the date of notification. To this, I recommend adding, the owner shall immediately properly secure the structure to the satisfaction of the building commissioner and take common preventive measures to prevent damage to said structure. Subsequent damage or destruction of the structure at any time during the demolition delay period, which could have been avoided by common preventative or basic security measures, shall be considered a demolition in violation of this bylaw. Currently reading, during the delay period of the during the current delay period, the applicant must notify the Historical Commission through written documents, and here we insert, on a bi-monthly basis, beginning with the first day of the second month following the imposition of the delay, that number one, as currently reads, bona fide reasonable attempts have been made to sell, preserve, move, rehabilitate, or restore said building or structure, and evidence shall include a listing of the building with a licensed real estate broker. Here we add an amended, experienced in sales of homes considered historic or aged 75 or more years. Section B currently reads, an estimate of rehabilitation or restoration costs of the building or structure. Recommended amendment to add, by a disinterested, licensed preservation consultant or contractor. C currently reads, an estimate for moving the building or structure. We add this amendment in its present condition. Item D, we add name, address, and contact information of what currently reads a party or parties, and then we insert the word that have been located who have agreed to preserve, rehabilitate, restore, or relocate the building or structure. A comment, if it becomes obvious during the delay period that there is no reasonable solution to avoid demolition, the following amendment may benefit the owner of the structure under delay. And this is all added now. During the 540-day delay period following the commission's determination that a structure is considered significant, the commission may advise the building commissioner in writing to issue a demolition permit without waiting for the period to expire if the commission decides to the effect that A, there is not a reasonable likelihood that either the owner or some other person or group is willing to purchase, preserve, rehabilitate, restore, or relocate said structure. B, for at least 6 months, the owner has made continuing bona fide and reasonable efforts to locate a purchaser to preserve, rehabilitate, restore, or relocate the subject structure, and that such efforts have been unsuccessful. This, of course, offers the owner of the property an opportunity to reduce the delay period if he adheres to these requirements. 134-5, emergency demolition remains as is. We add, such order shall be issued only following consultation with the Historical Commission. This is where the fire chief or building commission could order immediate demolition. Simply asking that the order be issued only following consultation with the commission. That is the substance of the suggested amendments. And here I would move that the commission approve the amendments and then send them along to proper authority for evaluation and inclusion as articles in the forthcoming town meeting.
Any discussion, Jennifer?
I fully agree with everything Bill put in there. I think it will benefit, honestly, people in the long run, you know, who legitimately are trying to demo a building. This gives them a way to follow the proper channels and get it done, but it also gives us the leeway to keep people from just, you know, passing that time and then at the very end, well, I've done nothing, you know, I'm getting my way. So no, I agree with the amendments. I think that they should be adapted.
Kevin, comment?
I also agree with them. I don't have any objections or anything to it.
And Bill, could you read each amendment again? And I'd like to discuss each one individually.
You want me to read them?
No, it's fine, I'm okay. Okay, the first one is, excuse me, I have a dry throat. If the building or structure is determined to be significant under the bylaw, the building commissioner should impose a demolition delay 540 days from the date of notification. The addition here reads, the owner shall immediately properly secure the structure to the satisfaction of the building commissioner and take common preventative measures to prevent damage to said structure. Subsequent damage or destruction of the structure at any time during the period which could have been avoided by common preventive or basic security measures shall be considered a demolition in violation of the bylaw.
Is there a penalty if it's in violation?
No, it's not until they start ignoring requests that there's a penalty.
The penalties, yeah, the penalty begins when they ignore it. Where am I? No, I'm trying to find it now. There is.
I remember seeing it,
Yeah.
Oh, but it was in this one.
Oh, it's in that one.
Yeah. The minimum maintenance. Here it is.
Yeah, okay, it's not in, okay, we thought there was a penalty, but it was in the other, it was in the first order of business. Okay. No, there's no penalty indicated, nor is there in the original bylaw.
So what's the consequence if the homeowner doesn't comply? Nothing? And if it
Well,
isn't anything, what is?
It's easy enough to include it. We'll revise
So
it.
this doesn't,
We'll revise it and include a penalty.
but if we adopt the minimum maintenance bylaw,
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
wouldn't that,
It's in the minimum maintenance bylaw, but not in this one.
What's the model for you, for these updates, Bill?
Again, from other bylaws of other communities. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We just use what's being done by others.
Yeah, definitely. That work's already been done. We just have to follow the good models. What's the next item? Update.
Okay, it's the reporting by the owner. During the delay period, applicant must notify the historical commission through written documents. And here we add on a bi-monthly basis, beginning with the first day of the second month following the imposition of the delay. So it requires the owner to report periodically of his efforts to sell, preserve, move, or rehabilitate the building, rather
Yeah.
than allowing.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Is to keep the process engaged, the homeowner engaged with the process. I've been
Yes.
involved with the historical commission since the demo delay was installed. We were I was on the commission and the committee to form the law originally, and from my experience since then, most of the houses that have gone to demo delay have gone through the process with the owners just doing the minimum and waiting it out. And then we've lost a lot of nice houses because of that. So I think that's an important update.
Okay,
A lot of times they'll just, put it with someone that they know that's a real estate agent, or they'll put up an 8x12 sign in front of the house.
yes, yeah, right.
he's frozen again.
Yeah. Richard, you're frozen again. We're not,
Yeah, it hasn't been
there we
good.
go.
Hasn't been
Now
good.
you're back.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's an important update.
The next one is a listing of the building with a licensed real estate broker. We add experienced in sales of homes considered historic or aged 75 years or more. I think we encountered something like that with the property on Elm Street, which I don't recall the details, but I remember that's where this first arose, that there are real estate brokers who specialize in historic homes, and that's the recommendation.
Yes, yep. Yep, that's excellent update. Any comments, Kevin?
No, I agree with that as well. Definitely.
What's the next update?
An estimate of rehabilitation or restoration costs of the building or structure. We add by a disinterested, licensed preservation consultant or contractor. I mean, someone could ask me to give them an estimate of what it would cost to rehab this building, and I could give them a figure.
Well, a perfect example of that would be the Stone House, the Stillman Stone House.
Yeah.
The information given about that home was completely wrong. Even to the point where they were saying that the pond was nothing, there was nothing good about the pond except for mosquito breeding, even though there were ducks and frogs and other wildlife living in it. It was good only for breeding mosquitoes. I mean, going through that, what they said about that house is you need a disinterested party, most definitely.
Okay,
Sounds good.
sounds good. Okay. Next thing was moving the building or structure, and we add in its present condition.
For what purpose?
Well,
They could get a quote for a pile of lumber laying on the ground.
someone could cut the building in half and
Yep.
take it away.
Yeah, good point. What's next?
And the next one, the reporting of a party or parties that have been located who have agreed to preserve, rehabilitate. We added or began the paragraph, name, address, and contact information of a party or parties that have been located.
Yes, yeah. Could you comment on that, Bill?
Well, it's confirming the efforts of the owner that he has indeed found someone by giving us a name, address, and contact information.
And that way we also have the information that this is a legitimate party. For instance, not somebody working for the church. And buying it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, good point.
Yeah, okay. But then the next portion is the part that is brand new. If it becomes obvious that there's no reasonable solution to avoid demolition, the following amendment may benefit the owner of the structure. And this is where it's all new. During the delay period, following the commission determination that a structure is considered significant, commission may advise the building commissioner in writing to issue a demolition permit without waiting for the period to expire if the commission decides to the effect that A, there is not a reasonable likelihood that either the owner or some other person or group is willing to purchase, preserve, rehabilitate, restore, or relocate said structure. If it becomes obvious, why continue the delay period if it becomes obvious to the commission that it's, and then we also say in that same context that for at least 6 months, we find that the owner has made continuing bona fide reasonable efforts to locate a purchaser to preserve, rehabilitate, restore, or relocate, and that such efforts have been unsuccessful. So if during his reporting of every 8 weeks he reports, and in a few months it's obvious that nothing's going to happen, we can relieve him of the additional delay.
Yes, I like that. That's a good idea. It makes the bylaw a lot more complete, well-rounded. It gives us an option of getting it off our table if it's there unnecessarily, and it gives the homeowner the opportunity to move forward quicker. if the situation warrants it. Bill, you sent, Kevin, did you have any other comments on this?
I did have one question. So in the case that a building is considered just too far gone to be restored or salvaged or anything like that, are there any bylaws or anything in place that would go towards salvaging like important parts of these buildings that could be used by other people, or may have, like if you have a important part of a building that maybe would go towards the historical society or something? Because I know many times these old buildings, they can have special parts to them, whether it's architectural or not, and they just get trashed. I don't know if are there any like rules or laws that could at least have the owner, or make sure the owner saves some parts.
Bill, do you have a comment?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's anything that anyone finds important or not.
Yeah,
I know
It-
when the old the high school was torn down, there were a lot of parts in with that building that some were saved, and I think some were not. You know.
Some parts of valuable experience that the commission has had. There was a house on Shirley Road across from near Lancaster, the end of Lancaster, across from Powell's diagonally. That was owned by Gary Gito. The house was vacated. It was an early house, maybe I think it was around 1730. It was similar to the house in front of Powell's. Where Powell's is now. And that was vacated. A contractor went in there, took out all the architectural elements, and the windows, the doors, I presume to sell, the staircase and banisters, all the wood flooring. And the wood floors in those houses were 18-inch wide chestnut. From virgin forests, early forests here, and he took everything out of there, and because of that situation, the fire chief went in there and condemned the house, made him board up all the windows and then tear it down. Even though the structure was viable, we were unable to stop it because the fire chief went in there and declared it, condemned it. Because the contractor had taken everything out of there, and he had taken everything out of there and worked on that house without a permit. But there was no recourse. So that house was decimated and lost. So when it was in demo delay, we put a demo delay on it. He didn't meet the demo delay, so there was a 2-year wait before they could build on it after they tore it down. The lot's still empty. And then Powell's, they tore down. We tried to stop, tried to find an alternative to tearing that house down. That was in demo delay, which was unsuccessful. The house was torn down, and then they took out the hand-hewn beams and other parts and incorporated them in their inside decor of their store. Other houses have just been torn down, and whether the parts were saved or not, I don't know. But there is nothing in there in the bylaw about that.
Okay, it was just a question I had.
Although sometimes, I don't know if you remember, maybe in one house or something, we taught I remember one or two houses, the owner wanted to know if the town wanted, or the historical society wanted some of the parts in the house, details. I don't remember the outcome of that, or if there was one. Bill, did you you sent everybody a copy of that draft, correct?
yes,
If you could, I'd like to wait till the next meeting to vote. I've been in work, eat, sleep mode for 7 days a week since March. And it's still going on. There's a building boom, as strange as it may seem in a pandemic. So I'm taking advantage of it, and I hadn't had a chance to fully review the document. And with this discussion, has helped me understand it. So I just want to review the language anymore to see if something might need to be added and discussed further, with the intention of voting on it at the next meeting.
Fine with me.
Okay.
Fine by me.
Any other discussion on demo delay bylaw? Untitled Cemetery update. Kevin, the first part of this, the stones are restored to go into that lost cemetery for the memorial.
Okay.
We're just trying to find somebody to cut the trees, which we've been trying to find for a year now.
Yeah.
Uh,
I got my chainsaw.
So I spoke with Bill Tyler today. He's called one tree company for 5-6 times and no response.
They're all like that right now.
I've
That
called
microburst took out.
3 different places and have gotten one response and a quote on it to cut the trees for $900. I think if he's able to do it, I've got donations to pay for that. So I'm waiting to see if I can get a response from him in a couple of weeks and get that going. Once the trees are cut, we're all set to excavate, put in the stone base, and then set the stone. So as long as there's no snow on the ground, we can go forward with that this winter. So I'll be in contact with you, Kevin, to come up with an outline. I'll try to email you. I can't do that because of open meeting law, but I'll come up with an outline, and then we can go over that perhaps at the next meeting and see about what we can do with that in a media sense, getting a video of that documentary.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good.
Fish Street Cemetery update. I've again spoke with, I had sent a letter to Bill Tyler. He had requested, previously I had proposed building a stone wall on the 2 sides of the Goodrich Cemetery on Fish and Lincoln. Presently there's a stone wall on 2 sides. This might be good for a documentary too, Kevin. Presently, the Goodrich Street Cemetery is a Goodrich family plot from the mid-1800s. It's been vandalized. Stones have been broken and knocked over there, and is presently in disarray. There's a stone wall, field stone wall on 2 sides. It's been unattended for decades, and trees and brush has grown up around them. So presently the cemetery commission is waiting for a tree company to clear out the brush and the trees there. And then I was donating my services to restore the walls there. The cemetery commission requested a cost of fieldstone to do the other 2 walls. So it's a square plot, roughly a square plot. 2 walls are existing from the 19th century or earlier, and 2 walls, 2 sides are open. So in order to protect it better and prevent future vandalism, I had proposed to build 2 stone walls where presently there are none, put in 2 granite posts and an iron gate going into the plot, as well as cleaning the marble headstones and repairing the broken ones and resetting them. So it's, hello, Bill, the cost of 30 tons of fieldstone to finish the wall around the Goodrich Street Cemetery is approximately $5,000. The wall would continue as the existing at 32 inches high by 30 inches wide. The northwest and part of the south side wall totals about 100 feet in length. I will donate 2 granite posts and an iron gate for the entry, which would face Lincoln Street. I will also donate my services in cleaning, repairing, and resetting the gravestones, all per the approval of the Cemetery Commission. So they're going to vote on appropriating the funds for to purchase the stone. So the first part of that again is getting the trees cleared out around there, and then that work can be done. I also pointed out in the letter that the town tomb at North Cemetery continues to deteriorate and is in a state of demolition by neglect, although the deterioration is not severe at this point. It needs attention. The brickwork was in need of only minor repair when I proposed to donate my services to do those repairs a number of years ago, along with the Historical Commission, and restore the structure, but the offer was negated by the Cemetery Commission chair. We had provided the Cemetery Commission with an outline for the restoration to be undertaken by us. Because the repairs had never been made, the deterioration has advanced and needs to be addressed to preserve that historic structure. Bill Tyler agreed with the assessment, and that he was looking into taking care of the work that needed to be done on that building, which dates to I think the town had voted to approve the building of that town tomb in the 1850s. I believe, if my memory serves me correct. So it's a nice little building that'll last for 1,000 years if it's maintained, and little maintenance is required in buildings like that. So that's the update on that. Any questions or comments?
I have none.
Good year.
Well, if I'm always willing to donate my help too, if you need any more for, I guess, any of the cemetery work. Yeah. I can't help much monetarily. I wish I could, but I'll be there for anything else you need, if you need any.
Yeah, that'd be great. If we could
All right.
get a documentary on that cemetery too. Perhaps Bill or Jennifer could provide some of the historical significance of the personalities interred in those cemeteries. And that might make a good article as it's going on for Historically Speaking too. Okay, next item. Uh, 400 Howard Street. I've been planning to drive by there. I'm working in Cambridge, so I don't get to that side of town too often. To see if that was ever boarded up or attended to, or if there's any for sale sign. Again,
I've lost audio. Richard, we lost your audio.
Where a developer has a building like that and we don't know what's going on.
Richard, we lost audio on you for a moment.
I was saying how at 400 Howard, the bylaw, demo delay bylaw updates that we noted tonight would be very helpful in this situation where you have an out-of-town developer and we don't know what's happening with the property, what he's doing to comply with the bylaw. So having a regular update as well as
Well, I
all
can
the
take a drive
details
by
in
tomorrow and
the
check it
bylaw
out.
would be good.
We can take a ride out and have a look, Richard, while you're busy.
That would be
Take a
good.
ride
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could take take some
We'll get
pictures.
pictures. Yes.
Any other comments on that?
So are we allowed to go look at the property, being that we're on the commission? Like, I mean, does someone still live there? Because like, I don't know how.
The house is vacated. It's been vacated for a long time, so it's in a condition of demolition by neglect. The
Okay.
house was left open. You could just walk in. And the interior had been vandalized to a certain extent, quite severely. So when we reviewed it, we requested that the building inspector have the owner board it up to secure the building to prevent further damage, as well as to alleviate the possibility of someone burning the place. Usually the houses are vacated by the time they get to us for a demolition permit. 62 Elm Street. To our knowledge and previous information, that house had been sold, but nothing's been done with it since. So there's been, it appears that there's been absolutely no activity. It looks in the exact same situation as it was when we first viewed it before going into demo delay. Rebecca Lantry had mentioned to me that the barn was deteriorating and that there was a large hole in the roof. So I drove by there, but it was dark, so I didn't get to inspect it. If that's the case, that building, the barn is in demolition by neglect, and the building, I think there was one new house that they had built on the property. But I asked Rebecca to get us the contractor's information so that we can call and find out what the story is on that property. I also asked her, she has the keys to the files and all the documents that the chair had that she retained when she resigned. So I need to have all the documents. She has quite a bit of information from the Historical Commission from all our previous activities. Any questions or comments on 62 Elm?
No, the only comment I have is that they have cut down trees. And that's about around the house, and the front actually looks pretty good. The facade of it, but that's the extent of it. I just drove by the other day.
Yeah, it's a beautiful house. It's quite old and definitely needs to be attended to and inhabited by somebody that appreciates what it is. Froze again, huh? Historically speaking, Bill, any updates?
We have published 3 articles to date. I have another one ready to go. In fact, I think I sent it to you for a quick look-see.
I'll
And we
review.
will have, we've got material for more coming up.
What do you think about an article, a timely article about the primary school? Its history and significance in the community, as well as its architectural significance as an early building in a central district. That these buildings, the one that you had gone to that's gone, and this one, which is the second, were significant in the consolidation of the evolution of the education system from the 9 one-room schoolhouses
Yes.
in town to a central district, which was happening all over the state. So I'm assuming that it was a state plan to move to central districts from the one-room schoolhouses and be better at educating the populace.
Well, Jennifer and I will team up and research it and come up with an article.
Yeah, it would be nice to have.
Complete photos.
It would be nice to have personal memories from a childhood's perspective for that, from the children's experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I identify with you, Bill. When I went to school when I was a kid, I got pushed around. I was shy, and the Three Stooges were popular. Not with me, but I got my eyes poked in them. But I love the teachers, and I love the red brick and the warmth of the oak desks and the oak floors, and the light in the rooms and the grand staircases. And yeah, it was just those are beautifully designed buildings, and they were designed to last for a long time. And the thing within the state that these buildings are built high quality, but then they're just taken for granted. There's no funds that go with them to keep them maintained over time, particularly the masonry and the roofs. They just let everything go, the gutters and the downspouts. And I watched that in Fitchburg for decades. Those buildings really resisted too. They went sometimes 30, 40, 50, 60 years before they were torn down. All right. Any other business?
Move to adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, next meeting, Thursday, February 25th. All in favor of adjournment, Kevin Busan,
Yes, aye.
Bill Axo,
All right.
Jennifer Sanderson,
Aye.
Richard McGrath, aye. Meeting adjourned. It was a
night.
good meeting. Thank you very much for your work. I appreciate it.
Okay. Good night.
All right, good night.
Be well, everybody.
Good night.
I was gonna ask